That's why I never go anywhere without a McChicken.
That is the best story I have ever heard in my entire life.
Yes?
Devin and Fleur of Card Studios.
That's us.
You said it.
I'm a process server here to inform you that you're to appear in court in a child endangerment case against a Mr. Jean.
What?
It's been running on the news basically all day. Just check it out for yourselves.
So, Mr. Jean, tell us the harrowing story of your child's Halloween.
Well, my wife Aubrey took our son Levi out trick-or-treating, and he was so excited to get a wonderful holiday aubergine, and he just rushed home to show his mother.
Of course, anybody would be excited for such a thing. What happened next?
Well, upon lengthy inspection, we realized there was a hidden razor blade in it.
Yes, folks, it may be hard to see at first, but if you look closely, you can, in fact, see that this treat has been sabotaged. We'll be back with more details on this terrible situation after this commercial break.
Have you ever been killed? Have you ever not meant to?
We know nothing about that.
Whatever, I get paid either way. Just know that I'm supposed to tell you don't go anywhere and just sign these papers so I can acknowledge that you got them and just get out of here.
Oh, of course.
Thank you. You'll be hearing from us.
Devin, did you hire a lawyer?
No, that was supposed to be Cole's job. Shit.
What the hell? You're a judge?
You think killing pays the bills? In this economy? Especially after you three guys ruined my reputation? I decided I needed to get a second job. So I decided to moonlight as a judge. Because I love the law.
But you're a...
I love the law. Now let's get this show on the road. It says that both parties will be representing themselves. Is that correct?
That's right, Your Honor. I'm a renowned lawyer with several ABA awards.
We are so screwed.
Indeed. Prosecution calls Mr. Simpson to the stand, Your Honor. Your defense, Mr. Simpson?
Well, you see, Mr. Jean, gaming presents us with many choices. What console do I buy? What game do I play? But what about the choices the game itself gives us? Some games will present you with the illusion of choice. This usually comes in the form of an NPC asking you a question, and the game presenting you with a few options to choose from. But once you respond, it's pretty clear from the NPC's response that your choice made no impact. While choices like these may provide some feeling of having an impact on the world, once the player realizes that it's just a thinly veiled illusion, it tends to just become a meaningless press A to continue the story already. A great example of a franchise that avoids this trope and instead gives the player nearly full control of the world around them is Fallout. While you can't bring up moral choices in Fallout without mentioning Megaton City from Fallout 3, when the series is mentioned, the first iteration that usually pops into people's heads is New Vegas. And for good reason. Fallout New Vegas allows for the selection of a faction, each having different plan for the wasteland and the future of New Vegas itself. The beauty of this selection comes in its obscurity and blurred lines. Vegas definitely has some factions that are more violent than others, but the game never directly tells you to pick one side or the other. It's left to you. It never says, these guys are evil, these guys are good. It wants you to make the decision for yourself. Mostly, anyways. But we'll get to that later. The courier, or player, can choose to conquer Vegas for himself with Yes Man, help enforce a big government rule of NCR law, help the Legion in their violent quest to unite the wasteland under one flag, or achieve Mr. House's goal of an advanced and structured Vegas. These endings often turn into a battle of ideologies, with players arguing over which is the best for the Mojave, and that's a good thing. The game ends in the same way that Fallout 3 did. We see images and text scrolls describing the effects of our choices on the world and its inhabitants. No one single ending is perfect. There is always an element of something good happening, but it is always partnered with consequences. It is up to the player to decide if the good outweighs the bad. No good deed goes unpunished. But as I mentioned earlier, the game isn't always perfect with its ambiguity. One main fault in this setup is the Legion, and even then it's not a big one. The game does tend to generally frame them as the bad guy choice. I mean, your introduction to them is quite literally crucifying townsfolk, and their main base is a slaver camp. This doesn't necessarily break the narrative back down into a typical video game structure of good-evil. The world having a force such as Caesar, or Kaiser, however you want to pronounce it, one is wrong, and you know, provides an interesting balance of personality, and one of the more interesting paths in the game, if I do say so myself. All that said, I do think Fallout 4 does a better job with moral ambiguity. Fallout 4 presents you with the choice of joining the Brotherhood, the Institute, the Railroad, and the Minutemen. The game does generally frame the Minutemen as the good guy choice, with them being by the people, for the people, militia of peace. It also tends to frame the Institute as the bad guy choice. However, once you get deeper in the story, things start changing. Without spoiling the event, you meet the leader of the Institute, and they describe their ideals to you and why they do what they are doing. The game does a good job at taking this event and framing it in such a way to try to convince you, is this good or bad? That's up to you to decide. Even getting to the Institute for the first time has its own set of decisions. Will you find the medicine for Virgil? And if you do, will you even give it to him? Seriously, the choices that you get for just this quest is, you can find the cure for him, go to him, just tell him, nah, sorry, I did my best, wasn't there, while it's clearly in your inventory, and then pass a persuasion check to have him off himself. Before, he succumbs to the FEV virus. And then you can sell the cure for 30 caps. It's whatever you want to do. This type of choice happens a few times in the game. A similar side quest has you choosing to either take a cure for yourself or give it to a dying child. On a similar note, you also get the option to help Madison, an Institute scientist, realize the truth. She used to work for the Brotherhood, and as you approach her and tell her they want her back, to make you prove your goodwill, she has you investigate the supposed death of her friend, the aforementioned Virgil. After getting into a restricted section of the Institute, you find old hidden experiments with the supermutants, in an effort to research a forced evolutionary virus, or FEV, as I said. The Institute had been painfully transforming their subjects into supermutants. Virgil couldn't take the guilt anymore and used it on himself so he could hide in the glowing sea and be free from the Institute. Upon hearing the truth, Madison laments father's lies to her about the situation and returns to the Brotherhood. Interestingly enough, despite his history, Virgil will still be angry upon hearing the player destroyed the Institute. He accurately says you caused the death of innocents in the process. Now, this ambiguity isn't just safe for the big bad Institute, however. Like in every game, The Brotherhood is back and fighting for their strict code of conduct morals. While they may seem closer to the good side of the spectrum in the collection of morally gray factions, their storyline has plenty of moments that are designed to pull at the player's heartstrings and make them question, is what they're doing really the right choice? There are two main examples of these that come to mind when you're playing through the Brotherhood questlines. First being Elder Maxon having you hunt down your good friend Paladin Dance. In this moment, you can either choose to execute Dance and follow the Brotherhood's code, or persuade Maxon to let Dance live. While this is a good moment in the game, it does fall second to the finale. In said finale of the Brotherhood storyline, you come face to face with Father, leader of the Institute. He's lying in a medical tube and is insistent on going down with the Institute. If the player passes speech checks, he will help you disable some synths in an effort to minimize casualties. But generally, he's disappointed in the player. He tells you that you are destroying the last hope for humanity. Could he be right? Could he be wrong? This moment is designed to create an emotional response in the player. Regardless of what path you chose, the game has built up an emotional connection with Father in some form. Whether he was your big bad Institute leader that you're trying to stop, free the synths are bad, the Institute's bad, help everyone, whatever it may be. And in this moment, you have no choice but to leave him to die with the Institute. This is a moment where you can reflect on your choices up to this point, and were they right? Were they wrong? None can tell you but you. How you feel is what matters most. Sometimes that's all that can be said and left at. So as long as you pick the faction that you feel the most connection to, you will not be wrong unless you choose the Minutemen, because Preston sucks.
So I think it's going pretty well.
Yeah, I really like
Lack of
the mass killer. He's pretty cool.
Ah! Oh shit!
Please relax, dude. It's me. Calm down.
How are you here? I distinctly remember leaving you in the courtroom.
I know, guy. I'll explain later. Just for now, I need you guys to help me out
With
with bringing me back to life.
why would you want to be revived anyway? Don't you have some cool ghost powers or something?
You would think, right? But apparently, death by candy knife doesn't justify ghost powers.
Well, that's just downright disrespectful.
And how, pray tell, would we go about doing this?
Apparently, we need to start being honest for me to come back to life.
Where'd you hear this garbage?
I ran into some ghost covered in chains on the way over here. Dude was a real downer. He kept going on about some incessant torture of remorse or something like that. I don't know, I wasn't paying attention. All I remember is he said something about being honest and being saved.
Fine, we can give it a shot. And I promise nothing.
All right, let us begin.
The prosecution calls Mr. Delaney to the stand, Your Honor. The Outer Worlds is another popular game similar to the Fallout series in that the player's choices will impact the story and the future of the world's inhabitants. This is a game that I have a lot of opinions on, but in an effort to keep things brief, I'll just hit the high points. I generally enjoyed my time with the Outer Worlds. The characters are dynamic, the gameplay is fun, if still a bit derivative of Fallout, and there are plenty of side quests to do and groups to interact with. That being said, the groups feel pretty meaningless, all things considered. Aside from angering the board enough that you can get shot on sight, most reputations just affect vendor prices and a couple dialogue options here and there. The game does present some meaningful choices, and one is even right off the bat. You have to make a choice on whether you want to route the power to a major town or a settlement of deserters. In this decision, your dialogue choices add another effect on top of the effects of routing the power. This dilemma is actually a great one in my opinion. It presents a difficult choice with many outcomes and many ways to unintentionally, or intentionally, make people suffer. Once that decision is made and the quest is over with, you'd expect such a monumental decision to have a large impact, but it honestly doesn't really feel like it does. Aside from some dialogue and some NPCs being moved around, once the quest is over, I think the game just missed the mark in showing the player the effects of their choice. This just makes it feel like a video game quest rather than some actual immersive experience. On top of this, despite the several different groups you can make decisions on and interact with, there's only two real choices for the main story: Phineas or the board. And honestly, I have to say, I was not a huge fan of how the game very actively framed them as the good and bad choices respectively. There wasn't that element of gray area, it was more so just, do you want to play this game as the good guys or the bad guys? Even when you choose the board missions, the game more or less lets you know that you're the bad guy and you're only doing it for the money and power. This can be a good thing when you have other factions to choose from. For example, Fire Emblem Three Houses was constantly suggesting that Rhea may be nefarious, but they were also offering 3 other factions to side with if you agree, one of those factions even being a route where she is your main enemy of the story. But Outer Worlds doesn't really have that solution. It's either one or the other, no in between. You either side with Phineas to free the colonists from the Hope, or you side with the board. And while the process of doing so was entertaining, it just felt empty in the end. This is disappointing to me because the game started off so well in that department. The choices you make, such as the aforementioned power routing, actually make thought-provoking moral dilemmas. Not only that, but the other degrees of freedom this game provides are insanely interesting and advanced. The Outer Worlds lets you kill nearly every single character, and the story can still continue to progress. That is an example of freedom that not many other games can offer. The developer put in contingency plans for the main story so that you have the option to truly impact the world in your own unique way from other players. They also make you care about the world and the characters that are in it. I mean, this game has some fantastic companion characters. Not all of them work for me, but for the ones that do, they do it very well. And honestly, I'm actually a fan of their personal side missions as well. I usually tend to ignore those types of missions and just continue throughout other choices in these games and other side quests, but in this world, I found myself really wanting to work my way through some of these characters' stories. I mean, Ellie's parents wanting her to pretend to be dead so they can keep their insurance money is a moment that lands very well, so it's even more of a shame when the main overarching storyline just fails to have the same impact as a small character side quest. The element of true freedom would have worked perfectly when combined with more than a simple binary choice for faction allegiance. The story also just feels somewhat rushed in general. Once you get to the point where it feels like the main quest is just starting to ramp up, it's time to go off and fight the final boss. Game over. Just like that. At this moment, there's several planets left on the map that the game hasn't even touched. This obviously makes you think you have plenty left to do, excited for what you have yet to explore. But no, your adventure is over. While this isn't directly related to the subject of choice in games, the shortcoming makes every choice you've made feel less important and impactful. To be fair, the game can feel longer if you choose to check out all the side quests, which does allow for some more interesting choices and more freedom. But the main story that is supposed to be this big New Vegas-esque freedom and storytelling just misses its mark for me. I really hope that this is just the growing pains of a new series and that the sequel provides us with the in-depth experience we know that Obsidian is capable of creating, but only time will tell.
Strong silent type, I guess. I respect it. Moving on. Anyways, other than this incident, it seems that you and your company's record is clean, so I'm willing to...
Well, actually, we did find a bag of bones over Halloween.
Excuse me?
Yeah, we also hid it when the police arrived. What? You said we needed to be honest.
Yeah, when it's convenient to us.
Well, you should have been more specific.
Just... Okay, fine, whatever. Just new plan. Just lie as much as possible.
Welcome to the final day of court proceedings. Let's make this quick. I have a long fan club meeting to get to.
You're in a law fan club.
I'm the vice president, actually.
You literally tried to kill us like a month ago.
Talk back to me. Why can't you be quiet and attentive like your friend here?
It's 6:30.
Prosecution calls Fleur to the stand.
Skyrim. The game that's been released 15 times on 10 platforms and is literally more well known than the actual series it is a part of. Since Skyrim is a ludicrously popular game, I'm sure you are all well aware of its story and the war between the Imperials and the Stormcloaks. The Skyrim Civil War does well to stick to the idea of moral ambiguity, as neither side is perfect by any means. The Imperials are the established leaders, who want nothing more but for their High Queen to be respected, while the Stormcloaks are a by the people, for the people rebellion. The thing is, the Stormcloaks often take violent paths to get to their ideal of freedom, and don't really have much of a solid plan for Skyrim's future. They're also kinda racist. Much like the Outer Worlds, Skyrim's main story only has these two choices. But unlike Outer Worlds, neither is framed as the complete good guy or bad guy. That is left up to the player. Do you think Ulfric's assassination of the king was for the greater good of Skyrim? Great! Fight under the blue banner to keep Skyrim for the Nords. Maybe you think the continuation of the Imperial leadership in alliance with the Thalmor will keep the nation at its best. Then fight to take down the rebels. The key here is that the game doesn't try to nudge you one way or the other. It doesn't criticize your choice. It puts you in this massive world and lets you make your own decision based on your interpretation of the world around you. Skyrim's moral choices and freedom most certainly does not stop there. It comes as no surprise that with roughly 220 hours worth of content, there are plenty of choices and dilemmas to make on the side that reinforce your immersion in the world around you. And that isn't even considering the DLC, where you can do things such as unleash werewolves and vampires on the nation of Skyrim. One great side story is that of Markarth. Upon entering the city and investigating the corruption surrounding a Forsworn rebellion, the Dragonborn is thrown in a work camp prison. It's here that you can choose to help the rebellion or put an end to it yourself by killing the Forsworn leader. Though the real reason this quest sticks in our heads is the intense battle in the city after helping them escape. Another great quest is that of Innocence Lost. This quest is arguably one of the most well-known in the game. In this story, a young child commits the Black Sacrament in an effort to summon a Dark Brotherhood assassin. Once you find him, and pretend to be the assassin he summoned, he tells you about the horrible things that have been happening at the orphanage with the ironically named Grelod the Kind, and asks you to kill her. Once you enter the orphanage, you see Grelod harassing and abusing the children. You approach her, tell her the Brotherhood has come, and kill her. The pinnacle of this quest is the reactions to her death. The other orphanage worker is horrified and tells you to leave, but what's really memorable is the children's reaction. Rather than be horrified by what they just saw, they instead laugh and cheer. They are ecstatic that you have killed their abuser. Not only does this completely contradict what you logically expect to happen, but it serves to further display just how terrible Grelod must have been to these children. While murder is objectively an evil choice, this quest flips the script and praises you for killing an old woman who you previously didn't even know. These quests are just the beginning of a multitude of moral dilemmas this masterpiece has to offer. There are also many, many smaller things, such as the game offering you the choice to boost a sword's power by murdering 10 people who you have a positive connection with each betrayal of a close friend raising the sword's health drain enchantment. It's these feelings that give a video game depth. and give the player a powerful sense of control over their environment. Being able to make your own choices rather than be railroaded down a preset path allows for unique experiences between players and makes a game incredibly replayable. This is just the tip of the iceberg of why players tend to love these kind of games.
Oh, does the prosecution have anything else to present?
The prosecution rests, Your Honor.
Wonderful,
Oh, crap. I'm gonna be late.
Where are you going?
Mr. Jean, you might want to come look at this.
Well, it would seem Mr. Justice M.K. left us a verdict.
You guys may have gotten lucky this time, but someday you're gonna have to actually face the consequences of your actions.
Oh, shit. Abba made a good choice.
Well, he doesn't really need it.
Neither does Abba.
So, what do we do now?
Well, we definitely made no morally good progress at the trial.
I guess we could use the money we found to spread Christmas joy or something.
Oh.
Christmas time and see time for great cheer. Things are going great, we've been good this year. I try to help the sick, I was a volunteer. The medicine went bad, so I gave them beer. Tried to do good and donate to charity. Got one part, see I don't have no money. Always keep the door open, cause chivalry is free. When they couldn't go soaring, they say thank you after waiting an eternity. And they say, what are you doing with your life? Yo, what's your goal? Cause at the moment, your stocking will be full of gold. No, we can't do nothing right. Turn on the light. No, we can't do nothing right. At least we're giving it a try. No, we can't do nothing right. The future don't look so bright. Morally ambiguous montage, right? Can't do nothing right. The cards, Christmas cards. Can't do nothing right. Down the soup kitchen for those in need. Wanted to pitch in and do a good deed. Sorted out great soups here and there. Spilled a whole pot, now there's soup everywhere. Helped an old lady to cross the street. She was taking all day, curse those tired feet. I wanted to go, I needed to scram. At least when I turned around, I didn't hear a bang. And was she okay? I don't know, I left her in the middle of the road. Why'd you leave her there? And she didn't have to go far. Plus, man, I had to meet Blue Roar. No, we can't do nothing right. Even in the cards, Christmas no, we can't do nothing right. A morally ambiguous no, we can't do nothing right. A morally ambiguous montage, right? Oh, shit. Are those sirens, man? I hope that old lady's okay. Oh, wait! That guy over there is robbing her. I won't let him get away. No, you idiot. Devin's helping me because you left me halfway. No, we can't do nothing right. No, we can't do nothing right. Cards, Christmas cards. Right. Morally ambiguous montage, right? Can't do nothing right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Untitled Chapter lion. No can do nothing hearts. Christmas card. I'm the Disney Marley. Right? Christmas? Happy Christmas, everybody.
Well, guys, I appreciate the help, but I don't think I'm going to be coming back anytime soon. Wait. Hold on a second. Is that it? Satan? What are you doing here, man?
Cole? You two know each other?
Like I said, I know a guy.
Yeah, but Satan?
Of course I know Satan. I'm up to 1,000 points on my frequent diaries card. But anyways, how have you been, man?
Can't complain. It's pretty nice this time of year. So, what brings you around here?
Well, I ran into this ghost Marley, and I just...
Marley? The chain guy? That guy's such a downer.
I know, right? But anyway, he told me I need to change my ways to come back to life, but everything we've tried has failed.
Why would you want to leave? I even sent you to the nice part of hell.
Excuse me. There's a, nice part of hell?
Are you serious? Oh, there's a nice part of hell? Can you believe these guys? It's like they've never died before, amateurs.
Well, I hate to see you go, but you're in luck. I'm here for my business. What business? Haven't you seen my ads? They're everywhere. I've been a bit preoccupied. Here, I'll show you.
Everyone loves to have their family home for the holidays, but sometimes accidents happen.
Have you ever been killed? Have you ever not meant to? Hi, I'm Satan with Let's Bring That Bitch Back. Other necromantic services are messy and time-consuming. But now, there's an easier way to do it. With Let's Bring That Bitch Back, all you have to do is unfold the necromantic scroll, chant the Latin incantation, and then your loved ones will be back with you just like magic. No more having to get out the sacrificial daggers. No more buying a goat. No more bloody carpets. Finally, there's a clean and easy way to stop being dead. A service like this would normally cost you 25 years of your pathetic mortal life. But now, with 3 low payments of $666 or 1 human soul, I can bring that bitch back. But wait, there's more. If you call within the next 10 minutes, I'll throw in this spooky skeleton for free.
Satan, Bring That Bitch Back, and Hell LLC are not responsible for any permanent curses, disfigurement, searing, or unending pain caused by our revival services. Some people may experience side effects such as zombification, vampirism, eternal screaming, or migraines. If you experience any of these side effects, you are fine. We don't care.
All we have to offer is this money we still found.
Deal.
But what could you possibly need money for?
You should see how's electric bill.
Anyways, thank you, man. I honestly don't know what Hold. Where did you guys leave my body again?
And that's the entire tragic story of how I became a max killer. Phew. Feel good to get that off my chest. So glad that my meeting was canceled. You're such a good listener.